Okay, folks, we're back for another episode of the Unnamed Podcast from a nondescript, unknown location with a new lid. This is for amusement only. If you are subjecting yourself to watching this rather than just listening to this, I thought I'd give you some visual pleasure. All right, Steelers 1-0 going into Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos. Do a little review, a little preview, get things started with the discussion about the Steelers offense. I am not here to give you any comfort about what we saw from the Steelers offense on Sunday. Look, there was a lot of euphoria and good feeling when I sat here on Sunday night and the Steelers were coming off an 18-10 win. I was worried about that game. You've got a quarterback in Justin Fields who didn't know he was starting until a couple days before the game. You've got a rookie center. You've got questions on the offense that were discussed ad nauseum during the preseason. You got a solid defense, but you're on the road. You don't know where you're getting in week one. And you got the performance that was acceptable. But let's look again at the Steelers offense. And what we saw on Sunday was what we've been living through for the past 2 years with Kenny Pickett. It was exactly that kind of game. The Steelers, they had the ball 10 times. They scored 6 times. But obviously 6 of them were field goals. 18 points. If you're not putting up consistently 20-plus points in the NFL, you're not getting the job done. Now, when you look at Justin Fields' performance, and I think this is important. First game with the Steelers, first game with Arthur Smith, a new offense, all that goes with that. So when I sat here, I said B minus, whatever I said for his performance. He did what was asked. But at the end of the day, that performance isn't getting the Steelers anywhere better than 9-8 and maybe the outside of the playoffs in a first round KO. But it's week one, like everything. Look, we expect improvement as things go on, and we'll see if the Steelers offense does better this coming week in Denver. But just to kind of, give you one last glimpse of the stats, 17 of 23 for $166. A couple deep passes that were dangerous. George Pickens has shown now that he is one of the more dangerous receivers in the league. But Fields, from what we saw from him, we need to see more. And this is the interesting thing as we get ready for this game on Sunday, as we sit here Friday at 4 o'clock, happy Friday the 13th. I was waiting for the injury report to come out. We kind of knew where things were going with the quarterback situation. But on the injury report, the official one of the league that Mike talked about earlier in the day today, Justin Wilson, I'm going to do this 100 times. I'm going to do this all season long. I'm going to call Justin Fields and Russell Wilson Justin Wilson. And that would be the ideal quarterback. You take Russell Wilson's experience, ability to throw the deep ball, his know-how, put that in Justin Fields' body, and Steelers have their $50 million man. QB problem solved. If we can get the AI and everything with the medical technology going, Justin Wilson would be the ideal, not the lefty that used to pitch for the Pirates. He would be the ideal quarterback. Russell Wilson is listed by Mike as questionable. He's going to be, again, the emergency quarterback in uniform. By the way, why were people losing their mind? Sports Illustrated, which is not the Sports Illustrated that you and I grew up with, but Sports Illustrated, this guy wrote a piece about how Russ was in uniform and was kind of mocking him. There's plenty to mock with Russ. I'm sure if you follow the NFL closely, you know the story last year when he was with Denver, and it was either last year or the year before. He's with Denver. They're flying over to England to play, and he's doing knee ups on the airplane. And his teammates, he's new to the team. His teammates are laughing at him. There's plenty of that kind of stuff. Russ during warm-ups. In fact, I think it might have been a game against the Steelers where he didn't play, where he was going through all the warm-ups, and people were mocking him for that. Look, the guy. There are things to point out that aren't perfect about Russ, but Russ has been a A1 I'm on the outside, I'm not there on a daily basis, but from the people I talk to and everything I've seen, he has been an A1 teammate since the day he signed. And I don't know what promises were made from Mike Tomlin when he signed. Pickett gets moved, Fields comes in. This is back in March. But it's pretty clear to everybody at this point that Russell Wilson was going to be the starting quarterback. And I think things are coming out now, as they always do, that initial calf injury wasn't just a strain that first day of camp. It was more than that. I think, Russ knew that right away. I'm not sure how much he let the team know that, but you remember that press conference about Russ, maybe you don't, but Mike talked about Russ not going the first day of training camp up in Latrobe, and it's like, he's got a little tightness in the calf. He had a pulled calf muscle. So it's clear at this point that was a 3-week injury at the time. I've talked about calf injuries. That was an issue, and you want that thing to be 100%. And obviously it looked like it was until it wasn't, and that's the thing with muscle strains. And they're doing the right thing now to make sure that this thing gets fully healthy. And if you believe some of the reporting, Jerry Dulac, in fact, of the Post-Gazette, reported today that the Steelers have already decided. They've talked to Russ about the fact that not only is he not going to play this week in Denver, he's not going to play next week in the Steelers' home opener against the Chargers. You know what? Steelers should be able to win all 3 of those games, so the 2 remaining games, to start 3-0 even without Russ. What will be interesting is if we see growth and development of Justin Fields during the next 2 weeks, are you then willing to make that change? That would be a fun problem for Steeler fans to see how Mike Tomlin wants to negotiate that if we see some improvement. But just to kind of finish up on the performance against the Falcons, we saw some decent things. And I'll tell you, going back through the tape, the first drive, fortunately, we saw, Fields get his worst plays of the game out of the way in that first drive. One, the opening snap, oh my goodness, cardiac arrest. 2, the terrible throw on the next play to Jefferson on the sideline. And then 3, I think we talked about this, the little swing pass to Najee on a first down after they had gotten their initial first down. And this was a play where he had some time, he looked downfield, and then he came back to the check down with Najee, and you could see Najee's frustration. He had 15 yards clean down the left sideline before he was going to find a Falcons defender, and Justin threw it behind him. Just wasn't a good pass. Lays it out there, it's a big gain, and they go forward. But, look, we saw some improvements. The other play that, if you follow me on Twitter, and please do, at David M. Todd, I discuss a lot of the things that we go through over the course of the week. The play that sticks out to me, and I talked about this on Twitter during the game, and I talked about it the other day, Mark Caboli was talking to Arthur Smith on the play late in the game, 7 minutes left. The Steelers had 3rd and 2 on the Falcons, whatever it was, their 9-yard line, 8-yard line. And they run a play where they have Van Jefferson in motion, and out to the right, they've got George Pickens and Calvin Austin. And if you watch this play, Jaylen Warren comes through quickly. Guys, is it a read option? Is it not a read option? We'll get to that. As you know, the pass goes out to the right. Both receivers are in good position to block. They both get completely run over. Jefferson doesn't do a great job of trying to get to the sticks, extending when he is getting tackled. They get a 1-yard gain, and then they have this ridiculous kind of quarterback sneak on 4th and 1 that it looks like they hurried. They get nothing, and they turn the ball over on downs. A couple things about that play. Initially, Mark Caboli reported that that Arthur Smith said it was the wrong read by Justin Fields. Okay, so that's what I reported, on my tweet. I just kind of verbatim went with what Mark said. And if you look at the play, then I have 9 million people on Twitter telling me I don't know what an RPO is. It's an RPO. I was confused by the whole thing because there's the read. There's nobody else in the pattern. So this is the only passing option. But if he's reading the defensive end who did not crash down, I think it was Judon, then he's decided that he's going to make the toss out to Jefferson, and the play goes from there. Please don't, God, I will tell you. So my blocking game is good in season. If you curse at me, I'm sure anybody watching this is not, probably doesn't roll this way. But don't curse at me. You can question me. You can tell me I'm an idiot. I'm pretty good with that. Curse me out. Less good with that. Might get blocked. So I had 100 people tell me I had no idea what an RPO was, and that clearly it was the right thing. So I don't know if they're arguing with me or with the coach. But then turns out that really made this beautiful is Mark actually kind of misquoted Arthur Smith, and it wasn't the wrong read, it was the wrong throw, and he expected the throw to be a quick toss inside, so that really only Pickens is making the block there, because he throws it inside, Jefferson catches it, he slides in, and it's kind of one-on-one for the first down, maybe a touchdown there. I tell you, if you look at my Twitter feed, I put a still up there. And if you give me this option 100 times, 3rd and 2, 2 guys out in front on 2 guys and a guy with the ball, and he's just got to move 5 yards forward, I'd take it every time. Play didn't work. Le'Veon Bell and I had a little chat about it. He thought he should have handed the ball off to Warren. But the point is, these are the types of things the Steelers need to sort out going forward here against the Broncos. That's a huge play in the game, a pretty straightforward play. And I got to tell you, the design, again, it looked great to me, but they didn't execute it. And then they didn't execute the 4th and 1. And this is the kind of stuff, if you're not going to have an explosive passing game, we talked about not attacking the middle of the field at all, you've got to execute on these types of things. Okay, so look, the quarterback, we know the situation now. Justin Fields is going to, he's going to be the guy this week. And we hope to see some development. The other thing about that, the passing game, again, Arthur Smith was asked about not attacking the middle of the field. I showed you the kind of upright thing that we've seen for, I don't know, even back in the end of Ben's time, we saw the Steelers not attacking the middle of the field. The excuse this time was that, Bates and Simmons are back there. They're game wreckers, didn't want to, bring them into play, give them their opportunity to make game-changing plays. The Steelers didn't. The Falcons didn't. Steelers didn't score any touchdowns. So we'll see this week in Denver if the Steelers attack the middle of the field at all. Something to watch for. Okay, the other thing, personnel on offense with the offensive line. And tons of talk about this. Time to be excited about the Steelers' number 1 pick. Troy Fautanu looks like he is going to get the start at right tackle. Was able to practice full at Thursday and Friday. And from everything that we're seeing, he's the guy. Okay, that's a positive. And everything that I've heard from guys who watch this team, watch offensive line play, Fautanu is not only the most athletic guy on the Steelers' offensive line, he is one of the most athletic linemen they've had in a long time. I mean, we're talking Marquise Pouncey level of athleticism, kind of elite athleticism, and, going to be able to see him get to the second level. So I'm excited about that. But with that positive comes all sorts of questions about the other 2 guys, and particularly Broderick Jones. And if you remember back in the preseason, there was some question about Broderick Jones' elbow and his health, and a couple plays in the Lions game, in that final preseason game where he didn't, just flat out didn't look very good. But he was solid in this game against the Falcons. And it is very out of character, in my mind. You look back at kind of Mike Tomlin's history with rookies and how you try to build continuity on the offensive line. I got to tell you, I'm shocked to see that Fautanu is going to start on the right side. And you know what? Broderick Jones is going to get benched. Now, there are a couple thoughts here. One is, I've heard a lot of people talk about injuries. I don't think this is an injury thing. I'll tell you, this is my opinion. Probably this is not kind of the consensus opinion. But I think the Steelers knew they had 3 tackles coming to camp. And I know Dan Moore is everybody's huge punching bag, and with good reason. Look, he hasn't played great. But he's not a disaster at left tackle. The thing about Dan Moore, and I've always argued that, if you're a tackle in the NFL, you can play one side or the other. Well, Dan Moore and the Steelers have come to the conclusion that Dan Moore can only play the left side. And, guys have written about this. He's talked about this, the kind of movement, what you do, how you practice, everything you do. He just has said he can't do it, and it's kind of proven out, apparently, when the Steelers have tried to work him there sometime. So what we're going to see, what the decision is, if you're going to start your most athletic offensive lineman at right tackle and Fautanu, as a rookie right now, then who's going to play the other side? And here's my answer: is Dan Moore has held that position down, capably, incapably, average to below average, depending on your judgment of what Dan Moore's done. But he's been that guy, and Broderick Jones has played mostly, basically, it's almost exclusively on the right side in his NFL experience. And I don't think the Steelers, coming off the win, the rookie center, Justin Fields at quarterback, I don't think the Steelers are willing to change or wanting to change both tackles in this week. I think this is a process. And I don't think it's a huge knock on Broderick Jones. I think they want to get Fatanu in there. They know that Broderick Jones, I think, is going to be the long-term left tackle. So I think they want to get him a full week of practice or two. And coming off that game where they had some success, and you've got let me throw in the obvious. You've got another rookie starting beside him. So having Frazier, Anderson, and then Broderick Jones, having three guys on that side, basically starting fresh. I just think that's too much. So Dan Moore gives them some continuity. They have James Daniels on the other side, who's the veteran now, who's going to have a rookie on his left side and a rookie on his right side. I just think it was too much going on the road to Denver, not knowing exactly what kind of crowd you're going to have. I think they decided, look, we'll make this move this week. We're going to be home next week, and we'll evaluate at that point in time. They may very well know in their minds, look, we're going to change next week at home when we don't have to deal with crowd noise and some of the other things that you have to deal with on the road. But I don't think this is a huge knock on Broderick Jones. I think it's the youth of the offensive line and wanting to have some continuity for Justin Fields into this his first road start. So, okay, the offense, the defense, what's to talk about? Defense was extraordinarily good after that opening drive. And again, kudos to the coaching staff for making some adjustments. TJ Watt spoke today about it. Little kind of finding their way in that opening drive while the Falcons went down the field, got the field goal. The touchdown came after that strip stack by Watt that the Steelers recovered the fumble. And then, Beanie kind of lost his guy in coverage for their touchdown. But no points in the second half. Can't ask for more than that. Go on the road and hold the other team to 10 points. You're going to win, 90% of the time. So excellent work. The only thing on the injury front was a question of Patrick Queen. And maybe I might have been a little bit hard on Patrick Queen during the course of the week for only having 2 tackles. And his explanation, and the reason was, look, he missed 2 tackles. So he talked about it, said I probably only had 4 or 5 kind of looks at making tackles, and twice I whiffed. So, look, he's come in to be a tackling machine. That's his job. So, yeah, good on him for acknowledging it. But he said the guys in front of me were so good that I didn't have as many opportunities as I usually have. So, okay, he missed practice on Thursday, but was a full today. So he'll be ready to go. He played all the snaps on the inside. And as we talked about, Peyton Wilson and Landon Roberts splitting time on the other side. And I'd expect to see kind of more of the same with that. And otherwise, kind of the defense, just, hoping for more of the same. Mike Tomlin in his presser talked about the Broncos, as he does each week, kind of previewing the opposing team. He talked about Bo Nix with one of the classics. I think he was highly effective. Bo Nix, 3.3 yards per attempt, 2.7 air yards. Had about a 47 passer rating, was 30th out of 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. He had a rough start up in Seattle, and it is going to be a bitch for him this week against the Steelers. Now, Bo Nix is an experienced guy in college. He had his time in Georgia, then went to Oregon where he graduated from. He was the 12th pick in the draft by the Broncos in this past draft. I like Bo Nix. I'm sure he is they say, great with the playbook, knows what's going on, really good teammate, a good leader. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Steelers against a rookie quarterback and an offense with the Broncos that doesn't have great skilled position guys. Should be more of the same, really. Steelers, they've crushed rookie quarterbacks, although I think Mike Tomlin's had 6 losses to rookie quarterbacks in his career. Although 2 were last year, 1 to C.J. Stroud, great. The other 2, Dorian DTR Thompson Robinson, Cleveland. That was one of the worst games the Steelers had last year. So kind of that stat that everybody likes to point to didn't quite hold as you would expect last year. But this is a game where I expect the Steelers defense to again be able to kind of have their run with the Denver offense. And Denver's got some injuries on the offensive line. Their left tackle, Bowles, was limited a bit this week. So expecting good things from the Steelers defense again. What are the other topics we wanted to get to? I don't know if we had, how much more we had. I had, a couple just roster things. That obviously the Cameron Johnston injury out for the season. Corliss Waitman, former Steeler, former Bronco, will be the Steeler punter this week. I guess that will give Mike and Steeler fans some comfort that he's punted in Denver, so it'll be an environment that he's familiar with. But it's a huge bummer for obviously for Johnston being out for the season. By all accounts, integrated in the team great, and as Steeler fans know, quality punting is not something we've seen in a long time. So we'll see what Waitman does. Terrell Edmunds, former Steeler, back. Fine. Terrell Edmunds as a fourth safety, as an in-the-box safety, as a kind of big nickel guy to play up close to the line of scrimmage, all for it. Terrell Edmunds starting next to Minka, not all for it. So vet minimum, okay, change the roster a little bit. Other roster stuff, Roman Wilson was full at one point during the week, but not full today. He's not going to get a helmet. It'll probably be still a couple weeks until we see his addition. So Skowronek probably elevated from the practice squad again to play on special teams. And, the Steeler receiver core, still a huge question mark. Got to do better. We'll see if they get more. They, again, two catches total from combined from Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson for 8 yards. Not what you're looking for from your number 2 and 3 receivers. And Freiermuth, see if they get to use him a little bit over the middle of the field. I think the Steelers they're gonna win this game. Better team on the road. Debating kind of as we've talked about, kind of cadence for this podcast, and was thinking about coming back and doing something pre-game since it's a 4:00 start, but we'll see how that goes. But look, I expect better offensively from the Steelers. Let's call it Steelers 23, Broncos 13. Steelers start 2-0. They get to come home against the Chargers. They'll hopefully injury-free, see where things are, and we'll come back and recap it. We'll do another post-game thing late Sunday night, which you can check out then, or early Monday morning. Thanks for being with me. Catch you soon.